in many conferences. He has he has started a new PG course in his college as MSc in herbal science for botany student. He has organized one international, two national, and one state level and several university level conferences and seminar in his college. Sir is a gold medalist in RTM Nagpur University. He has secured many awards such as LB Kadre Memorial Award, Young Scientist Award, Best Poster Presentation Award, Best Teacher Award, BP Pal Memorial Award by Delhi University, and he has a 25 years of teaching experience to UG and PG botany. Sir has a very long biodata. I will not take much time of the students. Students are eagerly waiting to hear you, sir. So please enlighten the students on a topic that is plant growth, characters, and growth phases. Now I will hand over the mic to the Koche, sir. Sir, please.
Thank you, Surarkar sir, for my lucrative introduction. Sir, आवाज येतोय ना बरोबर?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very clear, crystal clear.
So I also thanks to the organizer of the Dr. M.E. Dhore Memorial Lecture Series, an online platform provided by Sri Shivaji Science College, Amravati. I am also thankful for giving me the opportunity as a resource person in this lecture series. Dear student, today I am here to deliver a talk on plant growth, the fundamental aspect from syllabus of BSc first year semester 2 NEP syllabus, and the point is 4.1, where we are going to study several aspects of plant growth. Here I am trying to explain this concept of plant growth so that you could understand it well and you could write it properly in the examination. Friends, on today's topic, it is very common. If you see the plant growth or the growth as itself, it is a very common topic. Every one of us discuss about the growth, the personal growth, the growth of a particular economic growth, social growth, whatever it may be. So we used to discuss about this growth, the term growth. Today we are relating this particular growth, the term growth, with the plants, how plant grow, what are different characteristic features of a particular plant growth pattern, where the plant, how the growth is measured, what are the different growth factors, and how different environmental factors affect the growth of a particular plant. Then what is the role of different factors in the growth and development of particular plants. So this is the overall scenario what we are getting in the next 30-35 minutes. We are not going in detail of each and every aspects. I will start this presentation right now. I am sharing my screen here.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So today's topic is the plant growth that we are discussing today. And now, as I had already told you, that it is very common topic, very fundamental one. And for the botany students, everyone have to know how the plants grow and how the development of different organs and entire organism takes place, and further how it is useful for our society also. So basically, the every plant or each of the living organism, it develops from a single cell, that is we call it the zygote, and it goes into various stages. That is, the zygote develop into different cells or tissues, the tissues develop further into the different organs, and it form a complete particular organism. It happens everywhere in case of the animals as well as the plants. Okay, and in general, in routine terms, we used to see that commonly we used to take growth and development as a common term. But growth and development, they are two different aspects. In growth, we usually see how the particular cell or how a particular plant is growing in a particular entity. That means cell as one particular entity, and the differentiation, after differentiation, it form a particular organ or particular tissue types, and likewise it differentiated into different type of tissues, then different type of organs, and it forms a fully form a plant body. So that particular progress from a single cell to a particular plant body, it is called as the development. So this growth and development both are correlated. These are very complex forms, and particularly in case of the plants, it forms roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and fruits, and then seeds, and all other things. So here you can see that there is a single seed. After getting a favorable condition, that seed germinate to form the root primordia and shoot primordia. The shoot primordia forms further the shoot, then the leaves and other aerial portions, the parts. The root primordia leads to the development of root. Then there is the vegetative growth. The root is also growing, the shoot portion is also growing. It forms the sapling, then seedling, then sapling. And then after vegetative completion of the vegetative growth, that particular plant bears the flowers. And ultimately at the end, that flowers, after fertilization, that it forms the fruits, and then the fruits bears the seeds, and then again it germinate to form the next cycle of the plant. So likewise, from a single seed to form a complete particular plant body, these are different phases of the growth and development. Okay, so this is the simple illustration. When we go properly technically in case of the plant growth, so this growth is generally defined as the irreversible permanent increase in the size, volume, and mass of a cell, an organ, or an organism. So the irreversible, that means once it has been growth, it is growing, it has been growth takes place, it is not reversed. आपने कभी ऐसा सुना नहीं होगा कि एक पर्टिकुलर सेल की या पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गन की ग्रोथ हो गई और वो फिर से रिवर्स चल के वो एक सेल या फिर छोटे से उसका डिमिनिशन हो गया. ओके, इट इज अगेन परमानेंट इंक्रीज इन साइज, वॉल्यूम और मास ऑफ ए पर्टिकुलर सेल और ऑर्गन और ऑर्गेनिज्म. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द growth. Okay, and if you see as the character of a particular living organism, it is the most essential character of a living organism. Each and every living organism shows this particular character, that they are showing the growth of their cells, their organs, and that particular organism grows as well. Okay, now what exactly happens, what requires for this particular growth, these are the that particular growth is accompanied with the metabolic processes, that is anabolic or the catabolic processes, and because it requires the energy, and these processes provide energy for the growth and development. Okay, now basically this growth involves cell division, cell elongation, and cell differentiation. These are the three major aspects or major feature of a particular plant growth or any type of growth, you can say. And this is very essential feature of living organism for its survival as well as reproduction. And without reproduction, it cannot survive further, because for living organism, it is essential that that particular organism has to maintain its race. Okay, उसको उसकी रेस आगे बढ़ाना है, उसकी प्रोजनी आगे बढ़ानी है, इसलिए रिप्रोडक्शन करना बहुत जरूरी है. And for that, the growth is essential for its survival also. Okay, now here are certain features. आपके सिलेबस में एस्पेक्ट दिया हुआ है कि व्हाट आर डिफरेंट कैरेक्टर्स ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर ग्रोथ, प्लांट ग्रोथ. सो द प्लांट ग्रोथ कैन बी कैरेक्टराइज्ड बाय दीज डिफरेंट characters. Basically, the first one, growth increases protoplasm at cellular level. That means there is first growth of cell takes place. In case of the volume, the protoplasm increases and then it starts. The another point is stem and root are the indeterminate in growth. Basically, some of the portion has been already covered by Dr. Khedkar sir in the first lecture regarding this. So the stem and root are showing the indeterminate growth. That means the growth is not limited. It's they are showing the unlimited growth. It is called as the continuous growth, and it is due to the continuous cell division which happens in that particular portion. Okay, and this type of growth is called as the open form of growth. The reason behind this is that in both in this condition, that is the stem and root, the apical portion they are having the apical meristem, the meristematic cells, and due to presence of the apical meristem at these two organs, they are growing indeterminately or unlimitedly. Okay, so this is also called as the primary growth or linear growth of the plant. Okay, the another growth pattern is the secondary growth, which is due to the vascular or the cork cambium. Now, what exactly is the vascular cambium or the cork cambium? That you will understand when you go for the secondary growth pattern in the next coming sessions. Okay, so this is the another form, that is the secondary growth, where there is increase in girth. जो उसका सिलेंडर रहता है प्लांट का, वो जब ग्रोथ होना शुरू हो जाए, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द सेकेंडरी ग्रोथ. The responsible things is the lateral meristem or the vascular cambium. The another one, the leaves, flowers and fruits, they are showing the limited growth. Just like the stem and root, जो स्टेम और रूट होता है इसकी ग्रोथ अनलिमिटेड होती रहती है, उसका लीनियरिटी बढ़ती रहती है, लेंथ बढ़ती रहती है उसकी रूट की और उसके स्टेम की भी. बट इन केस ऑफ द लीव्स द ग्रोथ इज लिमिटेड बेसिकली. ओके, वो कुछ साइज तक ही बढ़ जाता है, उससे ज्यादा वो नहीं बढ़ सकता. If you see the structure of leaf, if you see the structure of flower or fruit, they are limited in their growth. So this is called as the closed form of growth or the limited indeterminate growth. Okay, so here I had tried to put the reasons specifically. In case of the stem and root, they are having the apical meristem. Due to that, there is the open form of growth, that is the continuous cell division takes place, and the stem and root grows continuously. It is also called as the linear growth. While in case of the leaves, flowers, fruits, these are showing the limited growth, and this is due to the lateral meristem. And in case of the girth enlargement, that is basically due to the vascular cambium or the cork cambium present in that. Particularly, it is the intercalary cambium also, you can say. Okay, so this has been displayed here. Now, this particular growth pattern, when we study growth pattern, this growth is having some unique features also. Plant to plant, that particular growth pattern is entirely different. Where in case of monocarpic एनुअल प्लांट्स, मोनोकार्पिक का मतलब होता है कि जिस पर्टिकुलर प्लांट को लाइफ में सिर्फ एक बार फ्लावरिंग आती है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द मोनोकार्पिक वन. पॉलीकार्पिक इज जो हर साल हर सीजन में उसको फ्लावरिंग आती है, ऐसे कुछ प्लांट्स है दैट दोज आर कॉल्ड एज द पॉलीकार्पिक प्लांट्स. सो बेसिकली दिस मोनो इन दिस केस ऑफ द मोनोकार्पिक प्लांट्स, दे वंस फ्लावर okay during their lifetime. Particularly if they are annual, they are basically the annual plants, monocarpic annual plants. They flower and they died. Particularly in this condition, in this situation, you can compare the agricultural plants. Paddy is there, wheat is there. Then after their flowering, the fruit formation takes place and their seasons completed, they get die. Okay, there are some weeds are also in this particular category. The another one, monocarpic perennial plants. Now in this particular case, they are perennial. That means they can survive more than 1 year. Okay, but after flowering, that particular plant get died. So it happens mostly in our area. It is from bamboo is one of the species where this monocarpic perennial condition is there. Another one is the polycarpic perennial condition. These particular plants in general condition, they are producing the flowers every season, every once in a year, you can say. So mango is there, coconut is there, chiku is there. There are n number of fruit plants. जो आपको एग्जांपल करके ले सकते हो. Now ग्रोथ होती है, ये आपको कैसे पता चलेगा, ये उसका एक एस्पेक्ट हमने लिया है. So in this particular case, there are few characters on the basis of which you can say that there is growth. Okay. So in this particular case, increase in length or girth, it is one of the indication that there is growth in that particular plant. Another one, increase in fresh or dry weight. If there is increase in length, there is increase in girth, definitely there is increase in mass also. So if there is increase in mass, it is reflected into the weight. So increase in fresh or dry weight, it is one of the indicator of the growth. Another one, increase in area or volume. So it is definitely one of the thing. Fruit and leaf जैसे बढ़ते हैं, उनका size जैसे बढ़ता है. So you can correlate this increase in area and volume. Another one, increase in number of cells produced. So when there is increase in area or increase in volume, definitely there is increase in cells also. Now these are only the growth indicators. We had seen the growth characteristic features. Now during their growth pattern, growth and development, these plants undergo certain phases, growth phases, you can say. Now these growth phases, they are formative phases, elongation phase, and maturation phase. So how you can differentiate between the formative phase, elongation phase, and maturation phase? You can see that here I have tried to explain with the help of one particular diagram, that here I had given the growth phases of a root basically. Okay. Now we all know that at the apical portion of the that root, it has the apical meristem. So the growth which is taken place at that particular region, that is called as the formative phase or formative growth phase. Okay. After that, it budded of the or the cut off the different types of, say, after cell division, it forms the elongation of that particular root portion takes place. That is called as the phase of elongation or the elongation phase of the growth. And when we say that there is starting of the arisal of certain lateral roots, so that is called as the phase of maturation in case of the growth phase of roots. So here I had tried to explain what are different phases of growth. Don't try to mix up the phases of growth with the phases of growth that we used to study in case of the sigmoid curve or the ASM curve, that we are going to understand in the next slides also. So these are three major steps: formative phase, elongation phase, and maturation phase. It can be easily seen in the growth of a particular plant in each and every organ, in case of the shoot, in case of the root, in case of the leaves also. Okay, so this is the basic concept, how the growth can be identified, what are different indicators of the growth, and what are different phases of growth that can be distinguished from one another. Okay, now here I have tried to portray what are the major causes what cause this particular growth and development, that I had tried to explain here. So in the first diagram, you can say that I had given the aerial portion. We had already discussed about that the plant is having apical meristem at the apices of the root and shoot. So here you can see the apical meristem is present here at the terminal end of the shoot, which due to its activity, there is continuous cell division, and this shoot apex uh, increase in length. Okay, likewise in the next diagram, there is root cap, and below that there is a quiescent region which is having the apical meristem again, and this particular meristem again divide to increase the length of that particular root. So linearity in case of the length, when we see the uh, growth of that particular plant in the linear manner, the shoot growth and root growth takes place by means of the apical meristem. But when we see the nodal portion, okay, The internodal portion increase that takes place due to the apical meristem. But when we see the in nodal portion from where the branches arises or from where the leaves arises, that particular portion shows the lateral meristem. Okay, and the lateral meristem is basically responsible for the growth of leaves and um, that is called leaves, buds, as well as the branches. Okay, now another one, when that particular plant get mature, there that particular plant, the stem as well as the roots, they are showing certain vascular bundles which are arranged in a ring-like structure, and these vascular bundles, within the vascular bundle and outside the vascular bundle in the ring manner, you will find some of the cells get converted into the meristematic cells, and they are acting as a vascular cambium as well as intravascular cambium, and they shows the growth, and that growth increase the girth of that particular stem and root also. Now in these two, it is the best example of the intercalary meristem. So the first one, apical meristem, the tips of it is present at the tips of root and shoots, which increase the height of the plant from the root apex to the shoot apex. The lateral meristem, which forms the cylinder of that particular form, which increase the girth and the diameter, including the growth of the leaf as well as the branches on that shoot. Okay, so this is the root causes, how that particular through which that particular growth takes place. Now coming towards the another aspect of this growth, that is the growth rate, how it has been defined, that we will see one by one. Basically the growth rate can be defined as increase in growth, that is in size, in volume, or in mass, but basically per unit area at a given time. That is the growth rate. Usually this growth rate is expressed mathematically when in that recently two different types of growth rates are the arithmetic growth rate and geometrical growth rate. I tried to mention here that arithmetic growth rate, what how it is takes place, and geometric growth how it takes place. Okay, in case of the geometric growth, you generally found from two cells there it forms four cells, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32 likewise. But in case of the arithmetic growth, it is from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 likewise. So in most of the cases, when the growth is at its pace, it is found to have geometric growth in case of the plants. Now the most important aspect that we are going to see here is that how growth takes place of an individual plant, and in case of the population also, because it is one of the aspects which you are going to study in this year or in also in the coming years also. Okay, so phases of the growth can be plotted, that the growth rate can be plotted against time, and you generally have this graph likewise, which is just look like the capital S-shaped structure in case of the growth of a particular individual plants or animals, or in case of the population. In both cases, we try to explain here. So it shows four different phases, four different stages are there in case of the sigmoid curve or the S-shaped curve. It looks like capital S, that's why it is called as the S-shaped curve. In case of the individual, it has been strictly followed by an individual. But in case of but if the conditions or if the situation is unfavorable, this particular S-shaped curve may be culminated into J-shaped curve or some another type of curve also. Okay, so the four different stages of this sigmoid curve can be explained here. That the first one, initial slow growth, which is generally referred as the lag phase. So what exactly happens here is that in this stage the growth is very slow, जस्ट लाइक जैसे एक बीज में से अंकुर निकलना शुरू होता है, अंकुरन जिसको अपन बोलते हैं. ओके, सो दैट स्टेज इट इज वेरी स्लो, इट टेक्स लॉन्गर टाइम, especially it could be due to the individual plant starting to produce its own food material or utilize the stored food material and try to acclimatize in the new environment. That's why the growth is very slow. The next phase it is called as the log phase or exponential growth phase or rapid growth phase. Now, basically, once it is germinated, the plant is germinated and it's tried to acclimatize in the given environment. It tried to produce in its own food material. Now the plant is having favorable condition. That particular plant is photosynthesizing, preparing its own food material, and if the other conditions are favorable, then the growth is very rapid. This is called as the log phase also or exponential growth phase also. Now, after that, the growth slowed down a little bit. Declining phase occurs in that particular stage, that as the individual plant approaches to its maximum potential after reaching to a particular potential or growth, the growth slows down. This is probably the environmental conditions or environmental factors start to limit the growth of that particular plant or the growing population, and the plant is trying to match up that particular environment, or they try to make the equilibrium with that particular surrounding atmosphere. So that's why the growth is slower in this particular phase. And the last one, the maturity phase or the growth of the phase of saturation or the growth of phase of equilibrium. This is the final stage or final phase in each and every individual's life, where after attaining a particular growth rate, it start to decline, or at least it start to maintain that particular growth up to certain limit and up to certain time, and then start to decline. Okay, and after that, that particular organism may die also. So this particular phase is called as the phase of maturity or phase of equilibrium or saturation. So here I had given both the sigmoid curves, where the growth of an individual or the growth rate of an individual is plotted against time. In the next one, in the next graph, where the population size is plotted against the time. Now, what exactly is expressed here? The initially the growth is very slow. It picks a pace, and then there is the rapid exponential growth takes place, which is called as the log phase. And after attaining certain rate, that growth is decline again, and then it is become static. Basically, it is called as the stationary phase, or the phase of decline also. Okay, now this stationary phase is called as the carrying capacity of that particular individual. Carrying capacity of that particular individual. So this is always for a particular individual which is growing in a particular favorable condition. It shows this type of curve, which is called as the S-shaped curve, grand period curve, or sigmoid curve. The same is here in case of the population. The same is followed when a population is growing in a particular atmosphere having all the favorable conditions. It is having this S-shaped curve. Initially, there is the growth is very slow of that particular population. Then it picked up a particular pace up to certain limit. The pace is very high. That is, growth rate is more. Then it start to decline because most of the environmental factors, they become the limiting factor of that particular population, and that's why there is decline stationary phase. Again, the stationary phase, which generally we call as the climax community. In that particular case, that particular phase is called as the carrying capacity of that particular population. Okay, and then it start to again either it maintain that particular stage or start to decline. Now I can explain these two in general. In case of the population, suppose there is one barren land. It's very simple case. Consider there is one barren land. ओके, एक पंछी उड़ता हुआ जा रहा है, उसके बीक में एक पर्टिकुलर सीड है, एंड दैट सीड ड्रॉप इनटू दैट बैरन लैंड. जस्ट इमेजिन, एक पंछी उड़ते हुए जा रहा है, उसके चोंच में जो दाना था वो वहां पे गिर गया. इन कमिंग फेवरेबल सीजन, दैट पर्टिकुलर प्लांट्स ग्रो. In next season, that particular plant, in next few seasons, that if that survive that season, that particular plant shows the vegetative growth, then reproductive growth. In that particular case, it forms flower, it blooms, and it generally say produce 10 different seeds, and those seeds fall down in that particular area. Okay, now if the season is favorable, if the conditions are favorable, in the next season you will get 10 different plants. ये सीजन में एक प्लांट आया था, नेक्स्ट सीजन में शायद आपको 10 प्लांट मिलेंगे. ओके, उसके बाद हो सकता है आपको 100 प्लांट मिलेंगे. नाउ द ग्रोथ यू कैन से 1 प्लांट फ्रॉम 1 10 प्लांट. अगेन द पेस इज सिमिलर. इन द नेक्स्ट सीजन देयर विल बी 100 प्लांट्स. इन द नेक्स्ट सीजन नाउ देयर इज पेसिंग. Okay, from 100 to there are 1000 plants. Okay, then 10,000 plants. Okay, पर ये कब तक होगा, कब तक होगा? एक दिन वो पूरा का पूरा बैरन लैंड इन सब पौधों से भर जाएगा. ओके, इस प्लांट से भर जाएगा. वहां एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर, फिर वो प्लांट आपस में झगड़ना शुरू करेंगे लाइट के लिए, फूड के लिए, न्यूट्रिएंट के लिए. फिर वहां पे आएगा फिर से सिलेक्शन का प्रोसेस. जो फिट होगा वो उसका सिलेक्शन होगा, वही सर्वाइव होंगे. फिर वहां से प्रोसेस शुरू होगी. सो देन इट विल स्टार्ट टू डिक्लाइन. After achieving a set particular growth rate, it will again start to decline. So likewise, from initial slowdown, there is increase in pace, then there is again declining in the growth rate, and then stationary, and then again declining. So this forms the S-shaped or S-shaped curve or the sigmoid curve of the growth rate. It follows likewise in case of the individual growth as well as in case of the population growth. Listen one thing, it is not as it is followed in case of the community growth. Okay, it is entirely different, or the more factors are involved in that particular one. Apart from that, we have to see what other factors that we had discussed, what other factors they are responsible for the growth and development of the particular plant. So there are n number of abiotic and biotic factors. They are responsible for the growth and development of plant, including sunlight, very common. Sunlight, water, temperature, adaptive factor that is also called as the soil, air. All these factors, they are affecting the growth of an individual as well as the population. So here just we are trying to make out the growth of a particular plant individual. So sunlight, it is very important because it is essential for the photosynthesis. For photosynthesis, the plant use the CO2 and water. It releases O2 and from the food. And without sunlight, plant could not produce the food material, that is carbohydrates, which is essential for the plant's growth itself as well as the some all other heterotrophs growth and survival. Okay, so you can see how this particular aspect is important, and or what is the extreme importance of this particular sunlight in the growth of the particular plant or individual plant. The another one is the light. Listen, students, that these things we will study in the next, I think, fourth and fifth semester in detail in case of the plant ecology. But entirely being a students of plant science, you have to know how these factors affect the growth and development of a particular plant. So water, it is again the important one. We usually say that this particular water is life for everyone. Okay, all living organism needs water for their survival, and plant needs water to grow, develop, because it is one of the part which is responsible for the photosynthesis. Again, without water, animals also cannot survive. Even the plants which are growing in the desert conditions, they are also required this water for their growth and development. Another one, temperature. Now this is a unique feature because temperature is basically a relative feature. It is not the absolute one. Okay, this factor is always connected with the light and light intensity. More is the light intensity, high is the temperature. Likewise is the condition. And this particular temperature is always found to be associated with impacting different types of metabolic process, like photosynthesis is there, respiration is there, seed germination is ho gaya, uska protein synthesis. These are the major processes which are found in the living organism, and these temperature conditions. Now, what requirement of the plant is there? In case of the plants, from 5.5 degrees centigrade to 55 degrees centigrade, it is the acceptable temperature for the proper growth of that particular plant or individual. In general, minimum temperature which is required for the growth of a plant, it is 5.5 degrees centigrade. Below that, if the temperature is below that, that particular plant, if it has to survive, it must have to undergo certain modifications, okay, or adaptations. That is another portion, another part. Another maximum temperature the plant can cope is 55 degrees centigrade, and the optimum temperature for this proper growth and development of a particular plant or established population, it is 23 degree to 28 degrees centigrade. Now, how this particular plant affects, that is explained here. Okay, this is a field that n number of metabolic processes has been hampered by the extreme high as well as the extreme low temperature of the environment, and it ultimately leads either reduction in the production of that particular crop, or alteration of the photosynthetic rate, reduction of the plant growth. It can lead to the oxidative state, water loss, n number of things it can lead, and by that it can hamper the actual growth of that particular plant. Now, another most important aspect is the air. How this air is hampering. In I have taken only two portions, that is two basic gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide, which are very related with the very essential and related to the plants, because in case of the carbon dioxide, as a gaseous component, it is required for the photosynthesis, food production, which is very essential. No food, no growth, no survival, nothing will happen further. Okay. The another one, the oxygen, it is most important, again, abiotic factor. It is essential for the respiration. During respiration, the output is the ATP, and this ATP has, or the energy is required for the further growth and development of that particular plant. So without O2, any living organism cannot survive, including the plants. So these are also important. Another important factor that I had tried to explain here is the soil. In general, this soil is studied under the name adaphic factor, but in most of the cases, it is also considered as the abiotic factor, because it is made up of the rock particles. ओके, वो रॉक से का जो विदरिंग होता है उसके पार्टिकल से बना हुआ रहता है सॉइल, इस वजह से उसको अबायोटिक फैक्टर में काउंट किया जाता है. ओके, द प्लांट यूज देयर रूट्स to absorb water and nutrient from the soil. The soil is very essential for anchoring that particular plant, okay, to fix that particular plant in a particular portion. Okay, and it is also playing very important role, because if you see the soil of different regions, suppose I am from Makola basically, and we are having the black soil, black cotton soil. We are having cotton crop, and which is required the black soil, which is having some different properties. Okay, but if you go in the another portion, suppose up to Nagpur and another portion, so you will see that the soil is reddish color. Okay, the proper and another important crop which is growing in that particular portion is entirely different. The oranges are more in that particular area. Go further up to Gondia or Nagpur, you will find the grayish or mixed type of soil is there, and the farmers are taking the paddy in that particular area in the large quantity. So these type of things which you can correlate, that in different types of soils, different types of crop can be grown, different types of plants are found in different types of soils. So soil is again one of the most important factor which has its own impact on growth and development of one particular plants. If we take the crop, सपोज अगर अपन ने ये ट्राई किया कि यहाँ का जो कपास है अपन जो दूसरे एरिया में, जैसे अपन नागपुर साइड में अगर ग्रो करने की कोशिश करेंगे, तो शायद नहीं होगा, उसका प्रोडक्शन उतना नहीं होगा. Okay, so these things you can correlate how the soil is important for the growth and the development of that particular plant. Now another one I had given here is the biotic factor. Okay, सो फॉर द ग्रोथ एंड प्रॉपर ग्रोथ एंड डेवलपमेंट तो होती रहेगी, बट उसकी जो प्रॉपर ग्रोथ एंड डेवलपमेंट रहती है, इफ द बायोटिक फैक्टर्स इंक्लूडिंग सर्टन माइक्रोब्स, इफ दीज आर नॉट प्रॉपर, okay, if these are infecting or attacking on that particular plants, it includes phytoplasma, viruses, fungi, bacteria, nematodes. If these are attacking on that particular plant, that plant showed improper growth. That means जो ग्रोथ का उसका रेट रहेगा उस रेट से वो ग्रो नहीं हो पाएगा. Wilting is one of the reasons. Stunting is one of the symptom which you can found in that particular area, particular plant. So these things are there, that abiotic factors like some microbes, weeds which are growing around, and some other plants. आपने देखा होगा कि कोई बड़ा अगर प्लांट है उसके नीचे कोई दूसरा प्लांट ग्रो नहीं होता. सो दीज थिंग्स आर देयर कि these plants become competitor of one another for their growth and development. Another thing is that microbes, if they attack on that plant does not show proper growth and development. So this is again one of the factor how it has been there. Now another important thing that I had taken here is that the plants के जो अलग अलग parts अपन ने देखे हैं या जो होते हैं, okay, stem, root, leaf, जो major factors होते हैं, how they are playing again the role in the growth and development of that particular plant. Okay, so consider the root. In case of the roots, they are anchoring the plants in the soil. Okay, and they are responsible for taking out the water and nutrient from the soil. Okay, another one, they can store the food material. So this is again very important. Water is very important, nutrient is very important for the growth and development. The stored food for the unfavorable condition, it is also a very important factor. So this is the role of root in case of the growth of that particular plant. Another one, stem, it supports the transport of water and nutrient. अभी रूट सिर्फ एब्सॉर्ब कर रहा है, वो उसके पास रख रहा है, पर जो वाटर वो एब्सॉर्ब कर रहा है उसको ऊपर तक पहुंचाना है ना, उसको लीफ तक, अपर लीफ तक पहुंचाना है, फ्रूट बाकी पोर्शन तक पहुंचाना है. तो वो पहुंचाने के लिए जो माध्यम है वो मिलता है आपको स्टेम के पास. देयर इज ए सिलेंडर कंटेनिंग जाइलम, दैट जाइलम कंडक्ट द वाटर फ्रॉम द रूट्स टू द डिफरेंट parts of that particular plant. Another one is the leaves. This is the main site of photosynthesis, and without photosynthesis that particular plants cannot synthesize food material, and if there is no food it will not survive. So in its own growth and development, these different parts of the plant, they are also having their own role. So this is again very important. Another one, which the portion which is given in your syllabus, I have just brushing up with this one, that plant hormones. Okay, how there are, what exactly is the role of the plant hormone in growth and development of a particular plant. So the, you can say that if you apply this particular plant hormones are, these are the chemicals basically which are required, which can accelerate the growth of a particular plant. Okay, that are called as the plant hormones or growth regulators, you can say. Now these growth regulators is generally enhancing, some are enhancing and some are also inhibiting the growth of that particular plant. So listen, here I had taken the 5 different growth regulators or the plant hormones: auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, abscisic acid, and ethylene. Okay, so in case of the auxin, this is responsible for the cell growth, cell elongation, promotion of the growth of terminal buds, and fruit formation. Now, what type of apical meristem that you had seen in case of the apex of the shoot and root? So this auxin is basically present there. Okay, so it is responsible for cell growth, cell elongation, promotion of the growth of terminal buds, and fruit formation takes place with the help of auxins. The another one is the gibberellin. Now this gibberellin is generally stimulates the breakdown of stored food material to facilitate germination of and sprouting of the leaves. Okay, so it has entirely different function. Okay. In case of the cytokinin, another phytohormone, it also helps in cell growth, cell division, and cell differentiation. Now, cell growth, cell division and cell differentiation is entirely different thing. सेल डिवीजन मतलब एक सेल से आपको 2 सेल मिलेंगे, 1 से 4 सेल मिलेंगे, that is called as cell division. Differentiation, if those cells are forming certain type of tissue structure, that is called as the cell differentiation. So this cytokinin is also playing very important role in case of the cell differentiation. Now another one, that is abscisic acid. This abscisic acid is generally playing the role in breaking the dormancy of embryo and dropping of the ripened leaves and fruits. Okay, so it has its entirely inhibiting scenario or the function. Another one, ethylene is one of the most important phytohormone or the plant hormone. Now the why I call it the most important and the unique, because it is the only gaseous plant hormone. Okay, it has been generally utilized or the used in case of the ripening of the leaves and fruit, and excess amount of the ethylene causes dropping of leaves and fruits. Basically, it is also connected with the abscisic acid, because it has been found that whenever there is increase in ethylene, there is also increase in abscisic acid. So some of the functions are related with this in these two cases, abscisic acid as well as the ethylene. So these are the 5 different major phytohormones or the plant hormones. They are affecting or they are playing very vital role in case of the plant growth. I had tried to explain different factors of the growth, different characters of the growth, how growth measured, then what is the growth rate, and what is the importance of the growth, and what different factors that affect the growth and development that I had tried to explain here is. In conclusion, I can say that the growth is an essential component, and it is one of the most essential feature or character of all living organisms. In case of the plant growth, it is very complex process, and it is influenced by both internal as well as the external factors that we had already discussed. And understanding these factors can help to optimize the plant growth for agriculture and natural ecosystem, because ultimately our aim of all botany should be that we have all to, either we have to increase the agricultural production and we have to live further the sustainable life. So it is very important to understand this aspect of the plant growth. So I had tried to explain it. Hope you understand this concept. The understanding concept is very essential. That's why I tried to cope up all this aspect in this lecture. And I tried to finish here. Suraka
Thank
sir,
you, sir.
over to
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Student can ask any queries now. If anybody has any question or queries, feel free to ask.
येस, तुम्हाला काही प्रश्न असतील तर तुम्ही विचारू शकता. कोणत्याही लँग्वेज मध्ये चालतील आहे, मराठी, हिंदी, इंग्रजी, उर्दू चालेल आहे, काही प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
मला वाटतं प्रश्न नाही आहेत सर कुणाचे. आपण एवढ्या चांगल्या समजून सांगितलं की
थँक्यू सर.
सगळ्यांना सगळं समजलं वाटतं बहुतेक. चॅट बॉक्स मध्येही क्वेश्चन नाहीये कुणाचा.
ओके.
मी आता वोट ऑफ थँक्स करतो.
Okay,
So,
sir.
thank you very much, sir. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the today's esteemed speaker, Professor Dr. Deepak Koche, sir, for sharing such a valuable and insightful lecture with us. Sir has nicely delivered a topic that is plant growth, characters, and growth phases to the student in a very simple language and covered each and every aspect of the topic. I must say that a proper image is also placed on each slide. We are truly grateful for the time you took out from your busy schedule to be here with us, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.